Hey, Tej here. Today we're taking a look at technical analysis for Nasdaq. I'll cover wave analysis with Elliott Wave Theory and provide multiple scenarios the price may take and explain why I prefer one count over another. Let's take a look at the different accounts starting on this weekly time frame and looking at the higher time frame structure that is my main. In this one, the structure has again started pre-2000s and we don't have a data back from there or before that. I'm not quite sure if this was the start of the whole Nasdaq, but this is what we're got to go with this and the QQQs, so starting at around the 2000s. In this one, I've labeled this as a supercycle wave 1 and 2. Now, of course, this could be a 1 degree too high, but at the moment I'm just going with this one. I've shown you this before as well. The substructures in here might have been changing, but the overall idea is still the same, in which again we had a 1, 2, and another 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So a lot of nested patterns here, a lot of overlaps here, and of course the reasons why I'm labeling these for these structures is pretty clear. We are very impulsively going higher at the moment. If we are looking at the whole structure without logarithmic scale, we can't really compare the structures within these, so that's why I'm actually using logarithmic scale. And for especially this current structure that we have, this super cycle structure that we would be expecting the wave 4 to start now, is definitely not comparable with this structure over here compared to this massive structure that we are about to have. It's not just comparable without logarithmic scale, so that's why I'm using that the most. At the moment, again, we are still having these divergences at these highs, third having the highest, or basically third of third having the highest RSI here, and we did get that divergence going within all of these, so we are still looking for a higher time frame fifth here to complete the third of this grand supercycle. But again, before that, we are definitely going to be needing to correct this whole structure that we had here. So again, this is from around 2008, and some of the structures that we had here around 2020 March, again, this was just a smaller time frame correction, and now we can especially see already that it is quite a bit smaller than what we got here. So that fits into the idea that we are actually having this higher time frame wave for correcting something. Now, when does this invalidate? All the way at 2.2k, at least on Nasdaq or the NQ1, depending of course on your indice or the chart you're looking at, different prices. But this is the overall structure. We are getting these divergences at the highs as we are expecting higher time frame wave 3s to go on, and now we'll be looking for that wave 4. Previous wave 4 of that third of super cycle is starting around the 9.7k, and that is the default target basically for this higher time frame wave 4 to go to. So that is one target. Now, what we got inside of that target area, we have the 0.236 retracement of this whole wave 3. So again, that is around the 8.65k, and the 38.2, which is default target for basically wave 4s, would be all the way down here at 5.75k. We'll see how that turns out. Again, I would be more focused on the smaller time frames, but again, I'm still expecting downwards more. Now, if we are looking at daily time frame from the very highs, what we got is this trend line coming from the highs of RSI and going through the peaks. This is especially somewhat important, telling us that something ended up in here, or saying that something that is having this structure here is no longer part of whatever we had in here. So whatever we had here is done, whether it's a WXY like I prefer it or something else. We'll look into the next. Before the main count I wanted to show you, I have a count from Elliott Wave Sage, who is very bearish on his last video, and he mentioned that he had this as a diagonal of some sort. Now again, the degrees of these counts are probably wrong, but I think he had this as a wave 1 and 2. So let's go through that and the thoughts that I have here. Now, from the very beginning, I'm going to be pointing out some of the issues that I have this, because of course we have all gone through these and the reasons why I don't prefer these. But again, or why I don't prefer this count at all. But let's go through them again, as there are plenty of people who have not seen the previous videos. So at the very start, how do I start this actually? There's a lot of going on. Well, let's start at the end here. This definitely feels like a five-way structure. I do agree with that. So for that one, we would have to have this as a five-way structure. I'm sure there are plenty of ways to get that into as a five-way structure. And that is fine. That would be the lowest low, the third, and then have another five-way structure in here. That would be fine. And then we definitely can fit a five-way structure in here, although it's not the best looking. It does not really have a good looking proportions. But again, if we have this as a clear five-way structure, the rest of the structures here need to be five ways, and that has to be understood. Now, we can't have the third here where I have it as on my regular counts, because again, we can't have flat patterns in the diagonals. So to me, this looks like a clear five-way structure, and that's why I do have this on the WXYXZ counts or WXY counts as an ABC expanded flat. But here it has to be a wave 4, because again, we can't allow that expanded flats or any kind of flat patterns in the wave 4s. So that is one reason why I don't like this. Okay, moving on to the next part. This should be, is this five-way structure as well or no? Well, if we are looking at the RSI, we can see the peak here. This would suggest that this indeed is actually a three-way structure. It is very impulsive though, so that has to be kept in mind. But at least on this 4-hour time frame, we still have the doubt that this is actually a wave or three-way structure, which definitely is something that we would expect in here. So we can slip that right. Then in here, if we are again now back at these lows of wave 1, we would be looking at the previous structures. Now, what is the last significant high? Is this one. And what we would be looking for is a five-way structure off of this or a three-way structure. To me, this looks like a very clear structure at this moment, like so. And what structure actually ends with 3? Either it's a WXY, WXYXZ, or it's a diagonal, right? And as we are looking this as a wave 1, we would be looking for this as the end of a diagonal, right? So for this one to work, we would have to be saying that, okay, that was a wave 4. Then we go back again, ABC. Sure, we could have a bit kind of ugly diagonal here. I would have allowed that. Then we would have the wave 2 here. But actually, before wave 2 here, the reason we have to be placing again the wave 1 up into these lows and not here is because, again, this would be a flat structure here, taking out these lows here. So again, this is what I have on the WXYXZ count or WXY count as a flat structure, because again, this feels kind of impulsive, but again, it doesn't need to be labeled as one. So I'm just gonna let that go as well. Wave 2 here, and continuing upwards on the count, we would have this as three-way structure. That's fine. 3 ways into X, and then again 3 ways into wave Y. That's a zigzag pattern. That is completely valid. Then we would have ABC in here. That is valid as well for the wave 2. So yeah, that is okay look. However, again, if we are placing wave 1 at these lows, we are using the trend lines with the 1 to 3 here, and then again 1 to 4. Wave 2 to 4. But we have broken the trend line up in here a bit. So generally, we don't want to be seeing at all any breaks on the diagonals. Otherwise, we are kind of forcing the count there, in my opinion, and this does not really have a contracting look at the moment. Of course, if we are placing it like this, we still don't have a really contracting look, but at least it would be fine, right? So yeah, another issue that I have here. If we are going back again on the count, we would have to have this as a 5-way structure. We have the lowest low here on already up here. So I think we would have to say 1, 2, 3, 4 and extended fifth. That is completely fine. Sometimes those extended fifths just happen. And although we do have that divergence at these lows, it would make some sense that we actually had that extended fifth here. Although the substructure again would be really bad. I'm not going to even go into that. Flat structure here in the B, that is fine. But again, some issues here onto the A wave. Again, as we are expecting this to be a 5-way structure, we would have to have this as a 5-way structure again, because we are looking for a zigzag pattern here. I have this as a flat pattern on the other count, just because of these overlaps here. We do have that overlap here with this potential 4 and 1. Could we have this other ways? I feel like we could, and I think we need to be labeling this as some kind of diagonal here, like so. That is the only way we can not have this as a 3-way structure. I have it labeled as this as the 3-way structure, but I'm thinking that the diagonal is the only option we can have for this to be any kind of valid structure here for that being this larger zigzag pattern coming down to here. So you saw kind of few issues that I have with this count, but again, if we are labeling it like this, we have to be saying that it is valid. We have some issues like this 5-way structure here and few others, like the trend lines, but otherwise we can fiddle around the count to make it work, right? So yeah, that is basically that count. I don't really think that is as likely as the WXY that I'm actually going with, just because we have not hit any kind of structures downwards yet. I don't think I have enough proof that this could be done, or sorry, going down more. I don't have lower lows here on the RSI from here. So again, that is something that I definitely am looking for. If we are breaking the lows here of RSI that we had previously, then I definitely will visit this count again for sure. But for now, I'm still looking into the WXY count that I have. But I just wanted to go through that count and the issues that I have with it. But this is basically what I got here on mine. Having this as a ABC, very similar. Again, I didn't need to have a 5-way structure in here, but instead I could have that 3 ways, and then 5 ways. Again, that extended fifth here. Then W, X, and Y. This would be again that expanded flat that I was talking about. Here we would have another 5-way structure, not ending at these lows, so we don't need to have the issue of having this as a 5-way structure, or sorry, as a 3-way structure, even though it looks like a 5-way structure. And instead I can have this as a ABC expanded flat. So that would be A, B, and C. And this would actually end the wave Y already, having this as a W, X, and Y, ending a possible W. Now there is 2 possibilities after this point. Again, higher high here on RSI would mean that this structure is over, and this X wave could already be here, done with this 3-way structure like so, or we could be looking into 3-way structure like this, 3 and 3, creating either a running flat like this, or expanded flat if it takes out these highs here. So those are the 2 options there. Now, when does this actually become invalid is when the structure goes beyond the 1.618 retracement of this original move. So at that point, we have to be placing the X here. That is the only possibility if we want to be tracking this count. Of course, at that point, if we are just doing it really fast, then we might be looking into the diagonal count of Elliott Wave stage, and yeah, then we would be tracking something else. But we'll see how this turns out. Of course, there are multiple different possibilities, and it is possible that neither of these are the correct count, and that has to be something to keep in mind as well. Even on smaller time frames, we haven't had a local low here on RSI yet. So I think he has this as a possible 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 setups, and that would be very bearish. And at that point, this less extreme RSIs would be very much possibilities or possible before we are striking all of this, taking out these lows here on RSI and then just going through downwards. But again, on a very local time frame, we have different counts for this. One is actually saying that we ended a count down here, but we'll look into those again on tomorrow's video on Monday, when we are again getting Monday's data or the 9th data, and we can see that where we are and where we might be heading towards the next day and the next week. But I just wanted to create a bit higher time frame video for you, as there are a lot of people who are not trading the local structures that I am, and giving some kind of guidance, well, not guidance, but some kind of view into the markets that you might not have had. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to share on Nasdaq today. If you made it this far into the video, I would appreciate the likes. Link to my free Discord server in the description below. And for now, I thank you for watching and hope you have an amazing rest of your day. See you next video. Bye bye.